did this ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
Hey survivors, you're listening to the Apocalypse Postcast, your source for the best in post-apocalypse fandom. And today I'm bringing you the nitty-gritty on a new dust city that's going to bring the thunder down under and maybe burn some things down along the way. This brand new festival is being tagged as Australia's first major Wastelander event, and I've got one of the organizers here to tell you all about it. Now don't get me wrong, the Mad Max Museum in Silverton, Australia has been holding Mad Max events for years, but a new feral kid on the block called POX-ECLiPSE is going to hold a Wasteland-styled event with full-on costumes, vehicles, and main stage entertainment that is sure to be worth the 7-hour drive from Perth on Australia's west coast. POX-ECLiPSE is coming up in August of this year, so get ready to party on Max's home turf with actual bottle cap currency, a full entertainment lineup, and truck-mounted siege weaponry. Stay tuned to hear all about it. Also, I just got word from V2A, who I interviewed on this show a couple months ago, and they're going to be hosting their very own festival back on the other side of the world in the UK. I'll be talking to them about it soon, so look for that episode coming up here on the Apocalypse Postcast. The world is slowly going post-apocalyptic, people, but the fun version. There's so many festivals now around the world, and everyone's putting their own spin on it. It's just plain rad. Anyway, I'm your host Makeshift, and I'm about to have my chat with Kristan all about POX-ECLiPSE right after this quick radio broadcast. You know, these parts of the wasteland used to be crawling with raiders, folks that just couldn't get along and tried to take things that wasn't theirs, and they got away with it for a little while too. But then all that changed the day Dead Raider Jerky came to town, now in 3 styles: original, spicy rads, and extra crispy. Every sack of Dead Raider Jerky is slow roasted to tender perfection on a hot rock under the red sky, the way Mama Nature intended. Dead Raider Jerky. Fuck it. Let's eat the bastards. All right, survivors, welcome to the show. Kristan Angel. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm a long way from you.
Yeah, no kidding. So it's nighttime there, it's daytime here. I'm having coffee. You're having what?
Jackson Coke.
I wish I could join you in that, but it is way too early for me.
One day.
Yeah, and also, not only are we opposite times, but you're going into what? Winter. And I'm heading into summer. It's getting hot over here, but you guys are cooling off, right?
It's pretty chilly over here at the moment, yeah. We've actually got heaters going on at the moment up here.
Oh,
yeah.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah. You don't often think that about Australia, but yeah, she gets pretty chilly. I live in Tom Price, which is kind of in the Pilbara, so it gets pretty cold out here. The desert region.
Yeah. The desert's kind of fun because, I've said this before with some of my hints and tricks for Wasteland is it gets hot, but it can get really cold. And I think a lot of people that don't live near the desert don't realize just how cold it can get.
Yeah, and it's going to get cold at our event as well. So yeah, we'll be recommending everyone brings lots of bear skins, etc.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so tell me about your event. You have a brand new event coming up. Is this going to be the first one in Australia that is like a Wasteland-esque post-apocalypse festival?
It is. So as everyone knows, they have the Silverton collective ones, which are very Mad Max based, I guess. And they're amazing, and they attract a lot of international people. And I'm very aware of those events, and I really appreciate and like what the guys are doing. But being a burner and I guess Wasteland having burner roots and us having an understanding of where we wanted to be with an event like this, we started talking about 3 years ago, and found a place that's quite a long way off any sort of cities. It's 4 hours from Gerard, 7 hours from Perth, in a little town called Kew, and we found a really great spot there in a breakaway, and decided to go for it and do the event out there. So it has a lot of challenges being so far from everywhere, but we're going for it. So it is the first sort of major Wastelander type event in Australia, yeah.
Oh,
which
that's
is crazy,
so cool.
Really, when you think about it.
Nah, no kidding. I've seen in the online forums, people have been kind of begging for a post-apocalypse festival of this caliber in Australia for quite some time. And I know a lot of Aussies have been like, I wish I could make it to the US. I wish there was something closer to me. So is that kind of the answer that you guys are or the calling that you're answering to?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been keeping an eye on those forums as well, but and I'm one of those people that wanted something like this. There was an event over here called Burnout, which we were really keen on going to check out as well, which was kind of like, I guess it's kind of like, was a pretty old school sort of, it reminded me of Desolation Centre or something over east, but that one seems to be slowing down as well. COVID's got there's a lot of challenges with that, with events and festivals moving all over the place and trying to sort of steer around that. So it's got its own challenges for that. But yeah, we are trying to be the answer to that, like something a bit closer to home, and sort of Wasteland Weekend did massive things for the community of people that were looking for a home, that were into Mad Max, and we sort of looked from afar at what was going on over there and then how it sort of spread out through America and Europe, and we really wanted to have something here, and I guess we wanted to create that answer.
Awesome. Yeah, and how long have you guys been like following along with what us Americans have been doing with Mad Max? A really long time, yeah. I guess I've probably been watching Wasteland Weekend for at least 5 years, like what's been going on there. And the YouTube channels are crazy because sometimes like they would just set up a camera and like just film Wasteland Weekend like a street for like 3 hours. Those are mine.
Yeah, I'll actually sit there and watch those. I just
awesome.
I'll sit there and watch the whole thing. Go, oh wow, like look at everyone participating and just checking out, sort of the world and the world escaping and how it all sort of works. And then I think with POX-ECLiPSE, I'm sort of like looking at that and referencing that, and then sort of coming up with little ideas that sort of we've learned along the way with Blazing Swan and the community there. And also we get involved with LARP as well. So we've let everyone know this is definitely not a LARP, but it is aspects of it in there somehow. And the community's kind of engaged and they'll be coming up as well. So it's going to be a very interesting mixture of people at this event. We've engaged like some of the older guys, they're in their 50s and early 60s that are into hot rodding, and there's an actual interceptor coming up as well, which is owned by this great guy called Kevin over here. He's amazing. He's bringing up 2 semis loaded with cars. So you got that crew, and then you got the older generation that like just love the movies that are coming up, and then you got the younger generation, the guys in their 20s and 30s that are into the LARP stuff, and then you got the burners coming up, and then you just got the people that are into the music coming up as well. We've got really good local bands coming up to play, all in theme, and so it's a great melding pot that is sort of arriving at this location in the middle of nowhere, and very excited about that.
That's great, and I love that you mentioned that it's not a LARP, but there will be LARPing, because we say that about Wasteland too. How Wasteland is not a LARP, but it's also not a LARP, because people will jump in and out of character. Scenes will get set up, improvs will get set up. There's a lot of like in character stuff that happens, and I think that those are kind of fun. But I also love that when the scene is done, you can kind of like back out of it, be yourself again. Hug your enemies, love your neighbors. Like. Jump in and out of it. I think it's kind of cool.
And I get messages and calls all the time with people that are participating that want to do these things. Can we do this? Can we perform this? Can we act this out at the event? And it's like taking into consideration other people's personal space and all that kind of thing. Like we come to an agreement, and there is a lot of people that really want to perform and act out these things on site. So yeah, the world building is already there, and a lot of these people. Have never been to an event like this. They just already have an understanding of what it's kind of like, just I guess through the information that we're delivering. They want to participate.
Awesome. Now you mentioned that the name that you went with for the festival is POX-ECLiPSE. Where did that come from? And man, I wish I thought of it.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that just really appreciate every single Mad Max film sort of in equal measures. I love the storytelling throughout, and like Fury Road absolutely blew me away. But Thunderdome I really really like as well. And the Lost Tribe in the Thunderdome, they call the apocalypse in their storytelling the POX-ECLiPSE because their English is all broken. Right. And I just thought that was a great name for a post-apocalyptic esque sort of event. So we're focusing on sort of like the breakdown of society through the oil crisis all the way through to the POX-ECLiPSE as well. So we're embracing all of that storytelling within the event. And I just thought that was a great name. It sort of stuck in my head, and I really wanted to name that. And I fought against a few of the guys that were involved in the event very early on to call it that, and we went with it.
Awesome. It's a great homage to the Mad Max series for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So, and how much is this festival going to be a Mad Max specific festival, and how much are you bringing in some of the other genres? Like Fallout's a very popular one, and other post-apocalypse stories.
I mean, I think naturally some of that stuff will blend in, but me personally, I come from a very sort of Mad Max background, so like I'm really focusing on the Mad Max stuff. All the emails that I'm putting out on the website, it's very Mad Max heavy.
Yeah.
But if people want to bring other elements of other post-apocalyptic stories into it, I'm all for that. I really love the Juggers film as well. It's just such a fantastic film, and I've always seen that as being part of the same world as Mad Max because it was kind of shot in Cooper Pedy. You know, there's a lot of Australian actors in there,
right? You know,
the underground city that they visit really reminds me of some of the worlds that are created in Mad Max. I've always seen that in the same realm. So, I'm interested in seeing how, you know, what other things people are going to embrace and bring to the story. But I know some of the, like myself and some of the older guys that are coming, they're very much into the Mad Max stuff all the way through to Fury Road as well. I actually found a Trans Am out here at the Speedway that was sitting on top of a Range Rover chassis with a V8 in it, and it was just sat down there all jacked up, and I was looking at it and I was going, wow, that's an amazing vehicle that someone's been trying to put together. And I didn't have the time for it, but I sent a photo of it through to the guys down in Perth, and they actually just chucked it on a truck and got it shipped down there, paid $500 for it, and they're trying to get it ready for the event.
So sweet.
Extremely Fury Road looking vehicle if they get that going for the event.
Nice. Oh, heck yeah. Awesome. And are there any genres that you're disallowing? Because I know that, you know, at Wasteland, they don't do zombies, they don't do aliens, they don't do mutants. So
we're not doing aliens, we're not doing zombies. I don't really, like Borderlands is kind of like I prefer to steer clear from it just because of the comic sort of style of it. I prefer to base it. Like I've really been suggesting that people sort of focus in on the costume design around Mad Max and also the Juggers, like the muted tones. And I've seen some of the things that people are putting together, and they're kind of very motorcycle armor heavy and, you know, cat armor and things like that. So the things that I've seen people putting together look really great. Some Wolverine stuff coming through, you know, like I've seen like a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with. Yeah.
Awesome. And are you going to do any kind of like a themed area, or for this year, are you thinking maybe more just kind of general camping and theme if you can?
So there's a general camping area where there's sort of like no rules on the exterior of the gate. On the interior of the gate, because Australia is a little bit different in terms of the way that we can do and can't do things over here. So things are quite restrictive, especially when it comes to sort of liquor licensing and things like that. So there's the big fenced off area, if you can imagine, like if you're like Wasteland Weekend, once you go through that gate, you're basically in a liquor licensed area. Within that area, everything's themed. And if you go out of that area to the left, there's a section where all the cars park up, and we're calling that the Black Thumb Quarter. And that's all themed as well. So there'll be like a little service station there, and we've got an oil derrick, which is actually a fire sculpture that we're going to build out.
Cool.
Off to the side there as well. So that will be sort of solar powered, and it'll sort of be pumping away the entire event. And then on the last night, we're going to attempt to set it on light with a fireball from a trebuchet.
Wait a second. Hold on. I need to picture this. Did you say it's like an oil derrick type of deal?
Yeah, so we're building an oil derrick, and it's kind of going to be about 3.8 meters from the ground where the pivot point is. And then the actual derrick itself will be about 3 meters long as well, all made of wood.
Oh my gosh.
And that we kind of like a sculpture that sort of just does its thing during the event. Sort of sits there pumping. And then on the last night, it's in the middle of like this little track where the guys get to sort of cruise around in their cars during the day.
Yeah.
And last night we're going to attempt to sort of do a couple of laps with the cars, sort of like it looks like a marauder group sort of rolling up on this thing. We've got a trebuchet which will be mounted on the back of the truck.
My lord.
Fireball. And so we need to get it sort of set up so that the truck is the correct distance away. We'll have it preset, pre-marked, so we can get the fireball within the vicinity of the derrick, so that it'll all go up in flames and hopefully keep pumping a bit while it's burning.
Oh, you guys have to film this. Please tell me.
Yeah,
Please tell me there's going to be a camera crew.
Yeah, there's going to be camera crews and stuff out there. We've got a couple of really good videographers and a couple of really good sort of photographers as well. So we're within the wasteland, like within the area that we call POX-ECLiPSE, like the little township. There's going to be no phones allowed, only because I just don't want people whipping their phones out all the time and sort of taking it away from the world building. So yeah, it's important that we have our own official photographers that'll sort of be on site that can sort of pull people aside and get a snap with them, you know. And then out in the Black Thumb Quarter, photography is allowed as well. So after the cars do their thing, about 3 o'clock every day, they'll pull up and people can get photos with all the cars in costume and everything. So.
Oh, so fantastic! That image alone. Just this final siege weaponry fireball. I mean, that's more than enough to sell this festival to me.
Yeah, well, it's you know, a lot of people don't know about that kind of thing. So, like, it's just these visions that we sort of come up with, and we're going forward and just doing them. You know, so in the background we're just building all this stuff, but we haven't really advertised any of that. We actually haven't advertised much at all, to be honest. I fought nail and tooth to just not have any social media for this event. Wow. And the thing with social media is, like, it's got such a grip, such a hold on people now. It's like that's the expectation, is that everything has social media. So I struggled along with MailChimp and doing a website for a really long time, hoping that we could just we'd just get enough attention and people would, but it wasn't really working for us. So the other day I sort of got voted out by a couple of the other directors about the social media thing, and all of a sudden a POX-ECLiPSE thing popped up on Facebook. But I was a bit gutted, but it's seems to be the way of the world. So that's the way. You got to kind of have to have that constant connection to people now. Those reminders, those hypes, those. Getting the photography out there and just letting people know what to expect. I think people are also really savvy. They don't want to go to, what was that festival we had down in the Florida Keys or something, where it was just an absolute train wreck. People are savvy to that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really funny you mentioned that, because I remember early on when we started doing this, and everyone was like, oh, what's this? It's a startup thing. No one's ever heard of it. It's in the middle of nowhere. Are they going to have the facilities? And the word was just getting out, and someone did say, like, oh, I'd hate to rock up and it be another, like a wasteland fire festival. So we promise it won't be a fire festival.
Good.
Well, there'll be fire, but it won't be the fire festival.
Yeah, there will be fire. It won't be the fire festival. I like that.
Early on, I kind of I put this sort of statement on my Facebook page, and I just to my mates, because mine's kind of locked down, and said, look, I'm having this party in the desert, and it's going to be like a Mad Max Wastelander style thing. You guys are invited. I don't really care if I, get, 70 people, 50 people, or if it's 400 people. I don't really care. But we're doing it. And then once we got really serious about it and looking into what it actually meant to do this thing and the infrastructure and everything that we needed, we started realizing that we do actually need like 300 people out there. So.
Oh, gotcha. Just to pay for the infrastructure, you mean?
Yeah. So generators, the toilet blocks, the water supply, the fuel supply, like just getting all that stuff in and out of there, we do actually need to sell 300 tickets.
Gotcha.
Just for the first year, yeah.
Yeah, and so Wasteland Weekend, in about 25 minutes, you can be to a little town called California City that has everything you need for a camping trip, as far as, supplies, gasoline, water, all that good stuff. Yeah. But you guys are going to be out in the middle of nowhere, so are there extra considerations for that? I know you already mentioned you're going to have water there. Well,
so Kew, the town, is 120 people, I think they got on the last census that live in that town. And it's probably, it's about 9 kilometres, like the site is about 9 kilometres from that small town. So you have, if you go there, there's things there, but like not everything that you require. So there's actually a really nice little hotel there that has just recently been done up, and they do really good coffee and burgers there. It's an amazing little place. But so
that's good.
There's stuff there, but it's still isolated enough that if there was an accident or anything like that, then it's not that easy to get out. So there's an airport there, and there's a flying doctor and all that kind of stuff that get you to Geraldton if there's an accident. But there's those kinds of things that we need to consider in all of our sort of emergency planning. And then toilets and things like that, there's nowhere that supplies them around there. So they have to come from a city called Geraldton, which is 4 hours away on the coast. Wow. So like getting toilet blocks in is like we were lucky enough to find someone in town that was able to supply us generators, so we didn't have to get them all the way across from Gerard. So that was fantastic. And the locals are just loving the idea. They used to have a festival out there called Q Fest, which was cancelled. I think COVID made it a bit harder when the main organisers sort of left town, so it fell over. So they're really looking for something there that will invigorate that town, like sort of yearly. And I think they're quite excited about the concept. So yeah, they're pretty happy to help us out. They've been very supportive.
Oh, that's so helpful to have the locals on your side.
Yeah, and the property itself is Crown land as well. So it's the council's land, and it's actually a rifle range, a defunct pistol club. So it's just a little reserve that was there for firearms, and it's sort of not really being used anymore. And they were happy to give it to us. I think they've locked it down for 3 years for us.
Oh, fantastic. Nice. So tell me a little bit more about the location. Like what's the view? I know you said it's in the desert, but is there any kind of beautiful desert landscape there? Is there any old infrastructure?
Yeah, there is. So there's, as you're driving in, there's a couple of old sort of water tanks. Some have been blown off their stands, and there's an old shed which was the club, like it was the pistol club shed, and it's all kind of rickety looking and broken down. To get down there, actually have to follow a power line corridor. So as you're coming into the space, you start getting like this sense that you're going somewhere sort of off grid, down this sort of white sand road. And then as you come into the space where the event is held, it's in a breakaway, which is kind of like where all the land has eroded. So you get it's if you can imagine like a cliff face, it's set in amongst a cliff face. If you remember Bartertown, like in Thunderdome, beyond Thunderdome, it was kind of like set in like a quarry space. So they had that kind of cliff edge around the back of it. It reminds me of that. And it was the first site that they showed us when we went to Q looking for sites, and they took us there because there was an old sculpture that was left there from a Burning Man event. I think they said it was in 2005. So there's a big sculpture that just stuck out of the ground, like this big iron sort of, it's kind of like almost like an Icarus looking thing. And it was a fire sculpture, and it looks like the structure kind of got very hot when they burnt it, and it kind of got a bit of a lean to it, and it's just stuck there. So we had a look at that space, and we thought, it looks a bit small. So we went driving for a couple of days looking for spaces to use out there. We couldn't find anything sort of as nice as that. And upon returning there and camping there a few times, it's a really, really nice place to camp. It's beautiful spot.
Oh, that's great.
There's actually a video of it on the POX-ECLiPSE website in the news section, in the news feed. There's a video from the first visit we went down there, and we had Shannon, one of the guys that's in the production team, brought a drone down and shot the space. So if you want to check out what it looks like, it's there. And you can see with the drone being so high in the sky, like how sort of, stuck in the middle of nowhere the site is as well.
Nice. And remind everybody what that website is.
POX-ECLiPSE.com.
POX-ECLiPSE.com. I'm putting it in right now so I can have a little look at it.
There's a little video about juggers there as well. So the theme camp that I am involved in, the burner theme camp, is called the Church of Belligerents. And Tyranny, one of the guys in the church, he's been running a juggers game at Blazing Swan for the last couple of years.
Nice.
But yeah, the Australian juggers are a bit different. I keep telling them to put more armour on, but some of them get out there with G-strings and it's kind of
vicious. Kind of like Australian rugby. Like, why aren't you guys wearing any pads?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. But when you see a quick and just a G-string and not much else, it's that's
different. Pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to think they go faster if they got less clothes on. They might be right.
Well, maybe it makes the opposing jugger team not want to take them out, not want to get too close.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe there's a psychological advantage.
Yeah, just you got Borat on your team, and no one wants to fight against you.
Yeah, don't encourage them. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's on there, that video. So that's pretty.
Yes. And so while we're giving the hard information on the event, tell me when it's coming up and how much the tickets are.
So tickets are $200. The event is on the 26th to 29th of August. But people are encouraged to get there the evening before, So if you get there on the 25th and set up and everything, then the gates open around 11 o'clock with all the fanfare parades. So we've got quite a few cars coming. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And, yeah, similar to Wasteland Weekend, we'll be doing the parade through the gate and everyone will watch that come through. And then another thing that we do in Australia is the Welcome to Country, where we have a local traditional landowner come and sort of welcome everyone onto the land. And that'll be happening
cool.
straight after the entry into the gate, and everyone can pay their respects there. And then we'll get the party started.
Nice. Oh, very cool. All right, so it's going to be those dates are Thursday to Sunday, but you're saying everyone can arrive on a Wednesday to start setting up. That's pretty cool. We've had to do that with Wasteland too. It's like kind of do that early invite for people that are coming to build. And that used to be just a day, and now it's like 3 or 4 days, and it's actually helped out quite a bit. Yeah,
I heard that. Well, I've just got a snippet of some audio from one of the Wasteland videos that I was watching, and someone said, it takes so long to get in. Like, actually get in through the gate. So,
yeah.
It must be, yeah. I mean, how many numbers are you getting there now? It's quite high, isn't it?
The last event was over 5,000. I think this year coming up will probably be a little bit below that just because of COVID. Because we're Wasteland's doing vaccines mandatory. And so some people either can't get a vaccine because of their health issues or won't get a vaccine because we're American.
Yeah. Because it's poisonous.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
Bill
a
Gates.
Conspiracy.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's not our proudest side of the family. But yeah, so we're expecting probably a few less this year. It should be really interesting though, because a lot of Wastelanders like to talk about how, Wasteland's not like it used to be, and it used to be cool, and now there's too many rules or too many people or too much going on. So this will be a year to kind of like re-envision what the early years were like, which will be kind of fun.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's too many?
I don't. And part of that is because of that early entry. So the Wasteland tribes, the ones that are setting up like within Wasteland City or have big builds to do, they're now allowed to get there as early as the Saturday before, so a good 3 or 4 days beforehand. So you kind of get that smaller, intimate festival before the festival starts in a way.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so for those of us that have been doing it for a long time, you kind of get that like very intimate feel while you're doing the build, which I think is super fulfilling. I almost tell everybody pre-Wasteland is better than Wasteland. Because there's so much camaraderie. Everyone's working to build the world, which is almost it's like working in a spook house, like a Halloween haunted house type of deal. Like being part of it is almost more fun than doing it, if that makes sense.
I think that is like that's part of like being a crazy person is the enjoyment. Like I look around me, the guys that are helping to build this thing, they're all crazy. And they're crazy because they've been doing this kind of thing for years, whether it's actual, like I started out doing sort of big day out events and things like that over here, like large festivals. And then I went off into doing the Blaze stuff, like the Burning Man regional stuff. And all those guys that were into doing events that are like connected at those events. And then you connect on the fact that you're doing all this stuff. There's no incentive. There's no monetary incentive. It's all about just, building relationships and hanging out with people and winning, like we did it, that whole, the incentive is like, you've completed this crazy goal. You did it. Everyone's vibing and you're definitely down to do it again. And you just do it year after year after year.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. I think it's like a bunch of crazy people getting together and making it happen because we really want to see it happen here.
Awesome. Now you've actually organized events like this before?
So I used to work in events. So like I was, when the big day out was around and Soundwave and, Moonlight Festival and things like that, I used to work at those events. I used to do this thing called the Inner Sanctum, which is basically preparing the backstage area to receive like international artists. So it was a really cool job. You got to meet a lot of people and sort of getting around with the AAA pass everywhere. And I guess that kind of thing really sort of grooms you to want to work in these kinds of environments.
Of course.
When the Blazing Swan thing sort of happened along and I didn't really know much about Burning Man at all. And I went down there and did that event, and I just saw all those organisers working so hard and it was all volunteer, and I admired that, and I thought it was great. I got involved, and I had that same, the feeling that you're talking about, the pride of working alongside like this ragtag crew and getting stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think just, all the other events we do in the lead up during the year, organising sort of quite large scale sort of fundraising parties and things like that. And then we would go and volunteer for other events like the Wave Rock festival that they have down here, and the Wild Camp Out, which was started up by some other burners. Burners are kind of like over here sort of breaking off and doing their own festivals and things now, which is really great to see. And
yeah, that's awesome.
it's keeping everything really diverse because they're basically like theme camps going off and doing festivals. So there's still kind of the theme is there, you know what I mean? And I think the way that the Church of Belligerents was going was it was kind of like a post-apocalyptic sort of church that likes to play metal and synthwave and things like that, you know what I mean? Like a big dark church with a big fire on top of it,
Yeah, that's great.
So we're breaking off and doing our own festival, and it's kind of like it's a post-apocalyptic festival.
Nice. Yeah, I loved so we finally got Death Guild, who's a big Burning Man tribe, to come to Wasteland a few years ago. And one of the things they mentioned was they were the crazy kids at Wasteland. They were doing this post-apocalypse thing. They were, swearing at people while the rest of the festival was full of, love and radical acceptance.
That's us to a T, man. I rocked up there and I was like, I said to myself, where's all this radical self-expression? All I'm seeing is like, fairies and tree wizards and ponies. It's like, this place needs some metal and some synthwave and something dark. And so we came down there and we brought it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so they said when they got to Wasteland, they were like, wait a second, these are our people and they're doing the same thing we're doing. This is great, So tell me a little bit more about how Burning Man festivals have kind of gotten you primed to do this one, to do POX-ECLiPSE.
I think you meet a lot of people that are of the same ilk, like one of the directors that's working on this with me, Ollie, he was one of the guys that started Blazing Swan over here, and he was always into that. When he went to Burning Man, like he loved the Thunderdome, and he was really into like sort of the same stuff that I was into, and he really wanted to see a Wastelander event over here as well. So you sort of bounce those ideas off each other, and then Tyranny got really into the Juggers thing, and you connect the dots, After a while, like everyone's like, oh no, well, we really want this, And then I've been hanging around guys in the car scene for a really long time, and that there's guys that are just really want to get out there and cruise around in their hot rods in the desert, and so you just connect the dots, and the community comes together, and sort of off you go. And having something like Wasteland and all the other events internationally that are sort of emulating the Mad Max thing is just extra inspiration to understand that it can be done and it is being done. And they look great. They look epic. They look like the kinds of parties that I want to go to, and I want to build the kind of party that I want to go to. And I want my friends to come to that party, So, yeah.
Awesome. And knowing how much work you've got to do to put this thing on, are you and your team, are you guys making time so that each of you can like have off hours and enjoy the festival that you put together?
Yeah, we are. We've got like quite a big team. We got an org chart, and it's kind of structured in such a way that people are going to be managing different clubs and stages. So being the first year, we're building a lot of the spaces that people are going to inhabit. So we're building the Sugartown Cabaret. We're building Brown Shoes, which is like my weird sort of meta throwback to the original Mad Max when he talks about his dad. So it's going to be like a slow grind club.
Nice.
And then we're building the Thunderdome and the main stage and Barry's Bar, which is the main bar. So we're building all of those items because we had to, you know what I mean? Like we don't necessarily think that we're going to get people the first year just, storming in and setting up amazing themed camps. So we're building all those spaces, and each one of those spaces has got managers to manage them.
Great.
My role as one of the directors is basically like production. I conceptualize the event. I do all the main art production type stuff, and then under me I've got people that do the technical production, and then you've got Turtle who runs all the other technical stuff as far as medical and liquor licensing and organising the bar, but he's got a whole team under him as well. And then Ollie is all like sort of HR and organising people, camps, the guys with the cars and the theme stuff. So he's got people working under him as well. So we will be able to sort of wander off and enjoy ourselves a little bit. But the thing is, like, we enjoy the work. So we'll always have a radio on us. We'll always be available. We'll always be working, but we'll still be enjoying ourselves.
Awesome. Oh, so cool. And are you guys having volunteers to kind of work out all the jobs that need to be done?
It's very heavy on volunteers, yeah. So a lot of the guys that are sort of involved with Blazing Swan and stuff are coming to the party for the volunteer side of it. So, and because of the startup capital that we require, like, volunteers are sort of like paying lower price ticket to come to the event, and all the event sort of organisers are paying like a low price ticket, like a half price ticket basically, come and work at the event. So that we just require that. Like, I've bought my ticket, you know what I mean? So we just require that startup capital. But like you say, like, the payoff is kind of like in the fact that, you know, you're rewarded. The incentive is that you work it, you complete it, you win it, and you come back and you're involved again the next time. So we're really building it. We're really building it on that sort of burner vibe the first year round out of necessity. And then we're hoping that we can actually build it to the point over the next 3 years where it's bringing in some capital and we can start paying people, because we want to pay the performers. And I guess another sort of we've working in events for a really long time. You get to meet like a lot of bands and things like that. So like those guys are coming up and performing for us for free, you know, and they're going to be out of pocket. And we really appreciate that. We understand, you know, the commitment, and we're super appreciative of it, and they're excited about coming, and the same as us. And we really want to pay artists. So I want to build this to the point where it's getting enough. We've got enough punters to come in and we can pay those artists, and then potentially also bring people over from the East Coast to perform as well. We've had interest from people over there.
So good.
Yeah, because people just love Mad Max and they want to come to an event that is Mad Max. And if you can help them to get there, you know, I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you got some live bands coming. What do you got scheduled for this year, and what bands have already signed on?
So our good friend Moana is bringing her band. We've worked and collaborated with Moana for a really long time now. She was I booked her for like a fundraiser for Blazing Swan actually years ago. But her music is kind of like psychedelic rock. It's got a pretty dark edge, and it can get quite heavy as well.
Cool.
And their most recent sort of film clip that they did, it's got kind of like that sort of dystopian sort of post-apocalyptic vibe to it.
Nice.
Injured Ninja doing the Epic of Gilgamesh. So Injured Ninja are a band. Epic of Gilgamesh is kind of like a performance that they do, a theatrical performance. It's really heavy on the costuming and drums. So I think they have about 6 drummers on it.
Oh, cool.
And they get all dressed up, like they're kind of like painted in clay, and their hair is all matted up and everything. They look like they've just been dragged out of a mire. Nice. They're really cool. Dan Howells is coming as well. He's very sort of like folk rocky. He also is going to be coming in like heavy sort of post-apocalyptic makeup, him and his band. They're great. Revenant, who's our good friend Julian, he's quite involved in sort of the entertainment part of the event as well, and the build and everything. He's a great guy, but he plays electric violin. He's putting something together that opens with a theremin, then goes into electric violin. It's got acoustic, it's got like percussion with 44-gallon drums, and a team of people with 44-gallon drums. That's going to be interesting.
Gosh. Yeah, that'll be fun.
And there's Rotha Fenra, who are like a sort of like a fantasy metal band. They, I guess, like almost medieval, but they're designing an entire set based in a post-apocalyptic world. It's going to be really interesting to see. And they rock out with. They've performed at another event that we do called Friday the 13th. We do it every Friday the 13th. And they're just amazing to watch. Really fun guys. And the Last Quokka, they're sort of booked to come along, and they're kind of like Last Quokka. You know, that's pretty. Do you know what a quokka is?
I'm thinking a crock pot. I'm not sure.
A quokka is a little marsupial that lives on an island in Western Australia called Rottnest. I don't like. I've had a couple of jacks, so I might not be completely accurate at this, but I think the Dutch discovered Rottnest, like, you know, back in the day, and thought the cockles are like rats, and so rot nest means rat nest. So the island
Okay.
is a rat nest. These little, they're really cute. But anyway, they're the last quokka. I guess that's kind of apocalyptic sort of a name, like the last quokka.
Yeah,
but,
it sure is.
They're sort of post punk. They're kind of real fun, but their sound is really refined. So yeah, I quite enjoy their stuff. And we've got probably another 6 bands that are sort of banging on the door, wanting to come in as well.
Oh, very cool.
And a lot of them are quite punky, and I'm more than happy for them to come along. We're just sort of like finalising everything with those guys.
Nice.
Running them through what needs to happen. And then in the Sugartown Cabaret, so that's just the main stage, and then you got Sugartown Cabaret, which is going to have all sorts of crazy performers sort of rolling through there during the 3 days.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you have a full roster pretty much already for a first event. That's awesome.
Yeah, we 3 or 4 bands a night at this point.
Cool. Oh man, and so we're kind of coming out of pandemic, although Delta squad.
Yeah, the Delta one. Yeah,
yeah.
We've got a couple of Deltas over here at the moment.
Is that right? Yeah, we've had a few. I guess several. But are you kind of experiencing the same thing we are over here, where musicians and artists are just so hungry to perform again that they're just, you said, banging on the door? Are they ready to go?
They are. I think we've been quite lucky in Western Australia, especially. Like, the musos seem to still be kind of booked. Like
good.
We've been shut down a couple of times, but not for super lengthy periods of time. So events are still going. People are still booking events, and we've kind of got the government are sort of like incentivizing events when as far as like running the risk of closing down. So like if you can apply, so I'm selling tickets now, I can apply to cover costs through the government if my event is shut down because of COVID.
Oh wow!
So they're kind of, what they're trying to do is sort of like keep things going, even though we're at risk of them shutting down. So this event as well, I feel that part of the reason that the tickets aren't selling as many as we would have liked by now is that people are just scared to buy tickets because they don't know when things are going to shut down. So they're waiting until the last minute, which makes things really uncertain for people that are running events.
Yeah, of course.
It takes and then we have had events sort of just shut down as well, and then they've had I think the Blazing Swan in 2009, was it 2020? 2020, yeah, I think it was the one that was shut down, and yeah, that was hard for that event. Just trying to figure out how they were going to sort of organise refunds and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's always tough, because once those tickets start coming in, you start spending, and I guess people don't realize that it's not just the builds and like renting the portos and that kind of thing, but like the permits are an early expense, and getting all the government sign-offs. Yep. Each time you do that, it's dollars out of your pocket, and those definitely are kind of non-refundable.
Yeah, so big costs are like insurance.
Yeah,
I won't go into the amounts, but they're big costs. Insurance, medical, like coverage, and liquor licensing as well. You're paying money to run all of that stuff. They're all the things that sort of like people aren't super aware of when you're building an event. You kind of think about the infrastructure all the time. What's out there, the loos, the water, the generators, but the bigger costs are actually exactly like you said, the licensing and getting things across the line.
Yeah, all the red tape.
A lot of red tape, yeah.
Which is not the part that you love, but I'm glad you've got someone on it.
Well, Turtle is amazing at that stuff, to be honest. Like, he is great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so he's been around long enough to know what needs to be done in those spaces.
Awesome. Yeah, so you mentioned you need about 300 people just to cover costs. How are ticket sales doing, and how many people are you expecting to show up?
I think we're at like 140 ticket sales at the moment.
Okay.
And we're now? A couple of months out from the event.
Yeah, you've got some time.
Yeah, there's some time there. And we're working on a few sort of promotional activities now that I've been booted out of the social media scenario. And we're actually thinking about doing a film festival at the moment. So like
cool.
Mad Max film festival in the lead up to the event.
Nice.
So again, red tape there as well. So we're working through like the licensing costs at the moment because it's a festival and we want to play all the Mad Max films in a day. there's quite large costs to make that happen. So we're just like working through what that means at the moment, trying to negotiate with Roadshow. Hopefully we can make that happen.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So, you got a couple months. I want to say that we've kind of experienced the same thing here, where people are waiting a little bit just to see how things suss out, and then putting in that commitment later on.
It's a big commitment. 7 hours is a big commitment.
It is.
Yeah.
And then plus, are you doing costumes mandatory like most of the US events?
Yeah, costumes are mandatory. People are getting excited about the costumes. I think you have to. Like, I'm going as far as telling people they can't bring their phones in, because I want the world to feel like that world. And you're gonna have. I'm not sure if stubbies and singlets are going to be allowed yet. I'm not sure if that's post-apocalyptic attire or not. What do you think?
Oh, gotcha. Stubbies?
Do you know what stubbies are? They're the tiny little sort of blue work shorts that were sort of popular in the 70s and 80s over here.
Shoot, I gotta look this one up. Hold on. Yep, Stubbies brand. It's on Wikipedia, but no pictures. Hold on, I can do this. I'm
looking it up as well.
Okay. Like they kind of look like hot pants, or like 80s beach shorts almost.
Yeah, popular to be coupled with like a pair of thongs and a mullet.
Fantastic. Getting plenty of man thigh. You know what? Here's the thing. I think that if, as long as you put some dirt on it, rough them up a little bit, stubbies are definitely post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have a whole clan of guys, in stubbies and mullets, couldn't you?
Did you see the Building Wasteland documentary that I put out in 2017?
I think I have.
It was about the build crew, and
yes, I did. And I remember them handing out the dog tags and stuff.
Oh yeah, and do you remember the road crew that started in full clothing day one, and then over the course of several days of building the road, they ended up in just hot pants?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah. So do you have to keep maintaining that? That was the first site, though, wasn't it?
That was the new site, but it was the first time on the new site, and what they discovered was because that dirt hadn't really been traveled on, since the dinosaurs. It was really soft, and cars kept getting stuck, and so they had to, bring in all that gravel and create some roads.
Yeah. I was having to think about that when I was out on site. We got like a sandy, because it's a breakaway. We kind of got like, it's kind of really hard clay underneath with sand on top, so I think it should be fine. But we'll find out. So if people start getting bogged this year, then we'll go in there with some cracker dust or blue metal or whatever the next year.
There you go.
I think we should be fine.
Cool.
So do you want me to send you some stubbies over?
Yeah, that'd be great, actually. Yeah. Tell you what, if I can get a pair of stubbies in time, I'll put one as my hot time of day costume piece, and then just go for it.
I'm gonna have to get you a blue singlet as well.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what they call those over here, but
fantastic. With my tribe, and that's our, we do our tribes as our camping groups, the Dukes of the Nuke. We have this side project called Dukes After Dark, and basically Dukes After Dark is like this almost like, like Blue Movies version of Dukes. Like when the lights go out, things get a little, what's the word? Not sexy. That's not the right word, because
oh no, it might be.
It might be. But a couple years ago, we did the Dukes After Dark calendar, which was all pin-up Dukes, guys and girls.
Oh,
Yep, having fun. And they actually just did the calendar shoot for this year, and the pictures are already coming out pretty great. I'm hoping to get some, but it's been a very busy time of year. Anyway, so yeah, the Dukes of the Nuke, we're already into like the shorts and hot pants and showing the sexy side of the apocalypse.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do a calendar. The church belligerents do a calendar as well, which is kind of like sort of what would you call it? We kind of theme them year after year. The previous year we did like the Necronomicon, so everyone was dressed as like demon hunters or witches and things like this. And then this year we decided just to do like a metal theme. So all the pictures were black and white, and it was everyone kind of like being quite metal. They're kind of like pretty gothic sort of calendars. But we do sort of keep the ratio of like 50% guys and girls, and and I think it works really good that way. Like I like that. It's like you're flicking through and like, oh hello, So
Nice.
yeah, I'm gonna have to sort of. Is there somewhere I can get one of these Dukes and Nukes calendars? Can they be purchased online, or is there a gifted item?
Tell you what, I'm gonna look into this because they did it as a like Kickstarter, and so they were kind of pre-purchased.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to try to convince them to also have some for sale because I think they need to be. And once they come out, now people can really see, what they're getting, they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, awesome. And we're going to have to hang one in the bar down at POX-ECLiPSE,
Yes.
Check out.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yes. Let me look into that. And I'll see what I can do to make it happen. And even if they don't do it, I'll do it and just throw them up in the Apocalypse Post store. And then they'll just have to deal with it.
That's great.
All right, so we've talked about the costumes. I know that you've got some really cool set pieces that you guys are designing, but you've also got a bunch of vehicles set to show up. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I'm just actually going to open the vehicles bit on the website because I've had a few jacks now. So the Interceptor. I was actually looking over in the eastern states for an Interceptor. I knew there was a person over there that had like a variety bash. You know what a variety bash is? It's kind of like a cannonball run. They call them a variety bash.
Oh, okay.
Here. They do fundraising like races where they just get bombs and they do them up, but they make them really reliable with their old cars generally.
Nice.
So I knew there was one over east that was set up for a variety bash, and I thought, well, that would make it across the desert over here. And I started talking to my mate Craig, who's like a hot rod guy over here, and he told me that he knew of a guy in Perth that had an Interceptor, and I said, well, do you reckon he'd be interested in bringing it up to this show? And he goes, oh, no, he wouldn't do that. I don't think it's like a show car. I was like, oh, right, no worries. Do you reckon you could just ask him about it anyway? I'll see if I can find out, get his number or something. No worries. Anyway, 2 days later, he messaged me back. He goes, you wouldn't believe it, but he walked into my shop, and I told him about this POX-ECLiPSE thing, and he got so excited, and he wants to bring, a trailer, his truck up, and he's going to load it up with cars, and he's bringing the Interceptor, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool. So, yeah, it's the black on black, like the first movie Interceptor is coming up.
Yeah,
so I'm super
still a little
excited
bit
to see
clean.
that. Yeah, it's pretty clean, but we'll get it dirty. That shouldn't be a problem out there. This black Bedford's coming out, like a truck that's sort of been all done up to go off road. There's pretty cool lines on that. You can check all these out on the website. There's
I'm following along.
Panzer Kaffer, which is like the lifted Volkswagen with the motor up the front. And then the little black duck, that's actually I've got a flat head in it. So she puts along, but very cool lines. And these guys are going to be building sort of mounts to go around their rear axles to hold thunder sticks and stuff like that.
Nice.
Joan Whiter is Ollie's one of the director's F trucks, so you can imagine that getting around with some thunder sticks and potentially some war boys in the back. The Inglorious Bastard is a daily driver, so that was a scratch-built hot rod. It's Craig's one, and he's already built a rear rack on that that can carry people. So he's built a rack for the back of that, and that's going to be sort of bristling with thunder sticks as well. Can't wait to see all these thunder sticks. Yeah. The Duke of Death is one of Kevin's mates who's got the... Like, it's quite... You don't see a lot of these sort of American Chargers in Australia. We've got our own Charger, which is kind of like a compact sort of version. They're really cool, actually, the Australian Chargers, but you don't often see like a American Charger around over here. So, yeah, that's going to be cool to see out there. It's matte black, so it's going to look really nice when it's covered in a bit of dust. Far Car's really interesting. That was built by my mate Derek. He'll be one of the official photographers on site as well. But it's an electric drive. So if you look at the rear wheel, there's a wheel on top of a wheel. That wheel spins in reverse and spins the wheel forward. So I kind of imagine that being kind of like a trader's car, like something that puts through the desert that's got, water hanging off of it or something, and they trade. It's
right.
And the Rat Patrol is a little Jeep that the guys are putting together, the Craig and all that as well. So those are the cars that we got on there, but in the background, there's probably about another 12 cars just sitting there waiting to be sort of put across the line. So there's guys sending their cars through on that form, and we're just sort of sifting through them and getting them sort of registered to come on a site and all that kind of stuff, making recommendations. Some of them aren't quite like there as far as what we need thematically. So, yeah, we're just sort of chatting to those guys and sort of talking them through it. So there's quite a few cars coming.
Yeah, it looks great, and this is an awesome lineup. I love that you actually have them kind of like the profiles on your website, so you can kind of like get amped up about what's going to be out there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to add the next batch. We're just going to get those processed, and then it's going to look very full, that page. So I can't wait to add the next batch.
Fantastic.
Especially with that Trans Am, the lifted Trans Am. I can't wait to get on there if the guys get it finished.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm not too up to date on my Australian geology.
Yep.
That's not right.
Geography.
Yeah, thanks. Where is this location compared to like? Are there any Mad Max filming locations near where you're going to hold the POX-ECLiPSE?
No,
because they were all on the East Coast, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting, like when you drive into Kew, like that town actually reminds me a lot of Silverton. Like it's got that look about it. Like very, very old buildings. The streets are kind of empty. A lot of the buildings are empty as well. The shop fronts and stuff, there's nothing in them,
Yeah.
So it's got that vibe about it. I think that was one of the things that attracted me to the town, is that it's got that sort of. So when we do the event, when we open up on the Thursday, we're going to actually do like the cars start in the town. So we're going to actually do a bit of a show through the town.
Oh, cool.
I've been looking everywhere for like a club that has vintage Kawasaki's in West Australia, so I could get them to come into town and sort of rev up and all that kind of stuff, but I can't find any. I don't know. There's no actual clubs that exist, so I'm going to have to sort of reach out a bit further and see if we can find some fanboys somewhere. But yeah, the town's beautiful. That was the question? Geography. No, it's nowhere near any Mad Max filming locations. It's way away from them.
Gotcha.
I did do a search for anything that was filmed in Western Australia one time and found something on Wikipedia that mentioned a town, but then I couldn't find anything else about it. It was just like location, dirt, Mad Max, and that was it.
Right.
There was nothing. I couldn't find anything to verify it. So that would be a question for our good friend George Miller.
Yep.
I don't think there's been any pickups or anything over here.
And they did confirm this year that Furiosa, the prequel, is going to be filmed in Australia, which is great to bring it back home.
But I'm really excited
that's
about
happening. That's in the Northern Territory, right? That they're going to shoot that. Am I way off?
No, they're back over. Well, as far as I'm aware, they're back over around Broken Hill area.
They are.
That's as far as I know. But you might know something I don't. So
Gotcha. I just remember hearing something. Because I think they wanted to keep that same look that they found in Africa. So it might be just a little bit more.
You get people say all these kind of cryptic things, and you start sort of piecing things together. Like something come up. I probably shouldn't say too much. I think there's going to be some green in this one.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah, that
all
makes
I'm gonna
sense
say.
because there is supposed to be the green place.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
But I don't know. It's like people just say things, and you just start putting things together because you're obsessed. You're obsessive, So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
and I think you're right. I just looked it back up, and it's North South Wales. So
Either way, I'm pretty excited.
yeah. Did I say North South Wales? I just sound like an idiot sometimes. When
Northern
I'm
Territory or something, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
North South Wales is a great place.
New South Wales, the new one, not the North one. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to come and just. You can drive around like you wouldn't drive through the desert, but you can kind of drive around the coast, right? Pretty comfortably. Is that how you?
Hang on, are you talking about driving? You want to drive around the coast in Australia?
Yeah, just go do the whole loop. That will help me like know where everything is.
You should do. I want to do that. Like seriously, that is like most Australians want to do that trip because it's huge. It's huge.
How long does it take?
Well, you'd probably want a couple of months at least.
Really?
At least, yeah. It's huge. It's like so. I've been across the Nullarbor. That's I'm too drunk to actually. I think it's 3,000 k's.
Okay. What's the Nullarbor?
That's so. Have you ever? I'm going to digress a little bit here, but have you ever read the novelization of Mad Max, the first Mad Max?
No, I have not.
It's really interesting. It's like because the bits where the gangs are like attacking the tankers and all that kind of stuff, that was supposedly supposed to be on like a super highway. So I always imagined this super highway kind of being the Nullarbor, like a widened version of the Nullarbor. It's basically a road that sort of cuts through Australia from one side to the other.
Okay.
And it's an amazing drive. It's great. It's like you're just driving hours and hours and hours with nothing but sort of desert to look at.
Oh, gotcha.
But I always imagined that being like the superhighway from that Mad Max novelization, because the idea, the concept from my memory was that there's these fuel tankers that go across, transporting the fuel across there, and when the oil crisis sort of hit, society's sort of going into decay and all that, the gangs sort of go out to attack these oil tankers, and the MFP were like a police force put together to deal with these guys, and we're stealing all the fuel. So that's the Nullarbor.
Gotcha.
We drove across that in my mate's Dodge Phoenix. He was building this 318 in his fireplace years ago. He had this block just in his fireplace in his bedroom, and he was building it. And I moved out of that house, and then a couple of years later, he called me up and said, "Kristan, I need you to come and sign the bond release forms." Okay, no worries. So I went over there and signed it. He goes, and the motor wasn't in the fireplace anymore. Where's your 318? I put it in the Phoenix. I'm going to drive it across the Nullarbor in a couple of days. I was like, no shit. He's like, yeah, you should come. And I was like, I fucking should come. So we jumped in the car and off we went across the Nullarbor in the Dodge Phoenix.
Nice. How long did that take to cross?
We had a couple of breakdowns and things, but we still made pretty good time. I think about 3 days.
Oh, wow.
We camped. Well, it was about 3 days. Yeah.
Got it.
So we broke down in a place called Norseman, and we had a flat tire, I think. We changed that there, and we got just outside of Norseman, and the alternator bracket broke. And the mate Eddie was having a meltdown on the side of the road. Oh, we're stuck here in the middle of nowhere. No, we're not. We're all right, mate. So I went out into the bush and got a bit of fencing wire and put it onto the alternator bolt, and then against another bolt on the block. And I got the hammer out the boot, and I sort of twitched the wire up and tensioned the alternator back up. And then that got us all the way across to Port Adelaide like that.
That is pretty nuts. That is like some true wasteland fashioning right there.
He was pretty happy about it because we were back on the road. So, yeah.
Good. I guess, it's always good to have that mechanical know-how, or electric know-how in this case. But, good save. Because
we got there.
Getting stuck in the desert's never a good thing.
The main issue with it was all connected up to the fan belt and everything, so like we had no cooling.
Oh, man.
Don't want that in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Oh, good times. Well, it's pretty interesting because I've crossed the American desert several times, and there's spots where you go, an hour without driving 80 miles an hour or 100 and some odd kilometers. I don't know, give or take. You don't pass any towns, and all the old gas stations are defunct. They're just not there anymore. So you kind of like just hope that you get to keep going, and if you do break down, you still have a cell phone signal. It can get pretty hairy.
Yeah,
which is
it's like over in Australia, like in Western Australia, especially, you got to drive a long way to get anywhere. Like where I live in Tom Price, it's 4 hours to get to the coast. Like to get to any town that's sort of got anything in it, if you want to go and buy a burger or something.
Is that right?
Well, if it's going to be like a Hungry Jack's type one or a McDonald's type one, yeah.
So you're pretty isolated where you are?
We're pretty isolated. If you look up Tom Price on Google Earth and you zoom in, you'll see like a little patch of green in the middle of nowhere, like in the desert. It's just a patch of green. Because it's just groundwater. You got places similar to that in the States, but it's just interesting because it's just a tiny little dot of green, like in the middle of nowhere. It's a mining town, so it's just it's a couple of mine sites and the town exists pretty much solely to support that.
Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, there's an interesting spot to look at on Google Earth because you can see how sort of isolated it is. Like it's just hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of just red dirt around this little green patch. But interestingly, there's a place out here like a nature reserve called Karajini, and it's basically like gorges that go down into the ground that have been cut away by erosion over thousands of years, and these deep gorges full of water, beautiful ponds that you can swim in and stuff. Probably about an hour from where I live here.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Cool.
So there's a lot of people coming up here at the moment with COVID and everything going on because people can't travel internationally, and even over the other states, it's hard. So they're all coming up through here, and we've got a lot of visitors and tourists.
Nice. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it always helps when people are kind of exploring their surroundings a little bit more, just to get to know, because I've crossed the U.S. several times. I absolutely love crossing the country because you go from the green to the plains to the mountains to the desert. It's so fun, and I think that that's something that not everybody gets to appreciate is just being able to see their whole country.
Yeah,
like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so I want to get back to POX-ECLiPSE. What do you see for this? I know you've talked about you guys have kind of got a 3-year plan, but what do you want to see happen to this event over time?
Well, I think, and this is probably something that my teammates would probably disagree with me as well. Like we were talking about numbers of events earlier.
Uh-huh.
I think something happens when you go over 1,500 people. I think something happens, like the dynamic changes a little bit, becomes less, I don't know, something, I think maybe less community or less, there's something changes that I've just seen happen to events over 1,500. So I'd like to see it capped at 1,500. I'd like to see it grow to 1,500, they cap it. But then they might disagree with that, and I have to respect everyone's decisions. Over the next 3 years, I'd like to see it get to, 800 to 1,000 people so that we can pay our artists. I want to pay the performers that are coming up.
Awesome.
And run it like, an event where the talent that's coming can be paid for what they do. That's what I'd really like to see. I think there needs to be more of that. There's so much talent in Western Australia that needs to be supported. And again, it just I'm super proud that I have these friends that are so talented that are willing to come out and help us to get this thing off the ground. I'd like to see them guys get paid. That's sort of the vision, and we may outgrow the space that we're in. We may have to look at potentially getting another space, or like a lot of Wastelanders do, is buy a sort of a property. So we could potentially look into that. But for the next 3 years, we'll definitely remain in queue and help to sort of invigorate the town through our event. And just watch the community grow. The guys that are involved in it so far are very, very excited, and they want to see more. And we haven't even done the first one, so
yeah, that's awesome.
I just want to see that community grow and involve like all the OG Mad Max guys, all the actors from the first film and through to the last film. They're all so keen on doing Mad Max stuff still.
Oh, great!
They just want to go to events. Like they love going to Japan and going to events over there. Some have been to Wasteland and they love that. They're really into it, and I'd love to see those guys sort of and be able to pay to get them to come across and experience this as well. I was speaking to Roger Ward about it the other day, actually. He's sort of helping us out with a little promotional video. And he was asking me about the event, and he was really excited about the potential of it growing and sticking around for a while. And he was, saying, can some of us come across? And I was like, I'd love to see that happen, mate. I'd love to see that happen, but we just need to get to a point where we can actually get yous across.
Of course.
Post-COVID and when there's a bit of money in the bank, I'd love to see you guys come across. But he's so supportive. He's such a lovely fella. And Iota as well. I was talking to Iota the other day. And he's into Mad Max just as much as I am. You know what I mean? Like
that's great.
He went to the Mandurah. He's from Western Australia, and he went to the Mandurah cinema and watched Road Warrior with his dad when he was a kid, and it made a huge impact.
Oh, yes.
And he's loved Mad Max ever since. And so when the opportunity came up to go for a role in Fury Road, he went in there, like charged in there, and and won him over and got the role. And his dream was to be in that film, and he aced it. Like everyone just loves that character. And Doof Warrior is amazing. Oh, it's
so good. Yeah, and one of the favorites. He sticks out, and he's so memorable, even though he doesn't have a line. And he's super keen to come to the show as well. They want to come, like And I just want to, when you talk about where I want to see this event, I'd love to be able to see people just come and experience it, like in a different space, like see how we do Mad Max. Yeah, it's interesting because I know that the guys who run Wasteland, they were talking in the early years about, can we get like a George Miller to show up and that kind of thing. And I think one of the things that came up was we'd love to invite them, but I don't think we can give them the star service. We can't really give them a green room or give them an air conditioned space to like hang out in or anything like that. And but I think it's also kind of like like you're saying that Iota might want to come hang out, but it would almost be better when it's smaller because then they're not going to be inundated with, hungry fans.
Yeah, I think he feels the same way. Like
Yeah.
when he asked me about the size of the event, he goes, "Oh, it's a boutique size. That sounds really nice."
Yeah.
So I just said to him, "Look, mate, I'm going to make you the costume anyway. If you decide to come, we'll be there for you."
Which costume? The doof?
Yeah. So I'm piecing it together at the moment. Yeah. And he says, "That's the spirit."
Oh, heck yes. That's amazing. So good.
So there's some other things going on in the background. Like people, it's such an amazing community. There's there's a documentary, and I probably should mention it, but that is coming out. And I was lucky enough to see it. One of my mates works in the film industry, and we had a preview screening type thing. It's called Beyond the Wasteland. Have you heard of that one?
It sounds really familiar.
It was filmed, so it's sort of like filmed across different events. The guys that made it sort of travelled they went to the Silverton show, and they went to Japan and checked one out over there. I think they went to Wasteland as well. But it's just so well made. It's absolutely gorgeous. It opens up with this scene of the Interceptor just parked at the drive-in with the sort of sun setting down on it, and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I won't go into too much about it.
Is that not released yet?
It's not released yet, no.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And it's I was just so excited to watch it because it was there's been a lot of really great documentaries that have come out around the actual scene, but I haven't seen one as beautiful as this. Like it's just shot. The director, the creator of the film, his name's Eddie. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Baruthi, I think. Baruthi. So Eddie, sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. But we've just been having some chats and like trying to get that to play because it's just an amazing film. There's another film that because my partner and I, we play films at different events, Wave Rock, and there's a couple of people that produce films over here called Soda Jerk, and they made this film called Terra Nullius, and it's basically a collage of a whole bunch of old Australian like Ozploitation films and some newer ones as well. There's a bit of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert and stuff like that in there, but they very cleverly stitched this thing together into like a socio-political commentary, and it's amazing to watch. There's a lot of there's Mad Max in there. There's a lot of Mad Max actually. Mad Max is kind of like the almost like the narrative that you're following through the story in a way. And then there's the BMX band that's thrown in there. It's absolutely hilarious and worth a watch, and it's available on Vimeo now, so you guys just watch it. Terra Nullius is amazing, and we'll be playing it again at POX-ECLiPSE.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And any idea how to spell that?
Terra is actually like terror, like not terror.
Terra. Yeah.
Terror. Terra.
Oh, okay.
Nullius, and Nullius is just how you spell it. Nullius.
Perfect. So for the Americans, terror.
Yeah. Is that how you say it?
No, we would say like terror.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Terra Nullius.
Terra Nullius. Yeah. So for a long time, I think it was on the festival circuit for about 4 or 5 years, and people would always ask us about it because we would only play it with permission from Soda Jerk. So if there was an event, I'd email them, can we play a film? Yes, we'd love to see. But they have a sort of expectation about how it's presented, but we were doing kind of goofy different stuff like cinema buses and, like they love the idea of a Wasteland event and things like that. So they're very much into the location and what you're doing with it.
And you said this is available on Vimeo?
It's on Vimeo. It's on Vimeo now, yeah, but it wasn't available for a really long time, so people just keep hitting us up for it. It's like, can we watch it? No, you can't, because we're bound by an agreement with Soda Jerk. We only play it at festivals when we've got permission.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
But people scream out. It's absolutely hilarious.
Perfect. I'm going to see if I can't drop guys, look in the show notes. I'm going to go ahead and just drop this Terra Nullius right there so you can see what we're talking about. And already I can tell this is going to be a great film. Yeah,
there's a little preview there that was out for a long time where sort of Pauline Hanson, I think, cops the boomerang or something like that. I can't recall. I think she something happens there. Pauline
Yeah.
Hans is there. There's a lot of like sort of Australian political stuff in there, but
Oh, sweet.
even if you're not aware of everything that's going on, it's still very funny.
Yep. And just to full full disclosure, it looks like it rents for $4.99, but support other artists because it's worth it, because then you get more films like this.
These guys are you watch this thing and it's like you can just imagine how many hours they spent like trawling through all this footage and piecing it together in such a way that it actually is like a storyline. It's it's very good.
Right. Awesome. And we'll keep an eye out for Beyond the Wasteland. Looks like it's supposed to come out maybe next year. Maybe it's probably going to go into festival circuit because a lot of these do, and then they come out at some point later.
Yeah. Awesome. So Eddie suggested that potentially he'll have it available to sort of release for festivals and things around the 26th of August, which is going to be very tight for us to obtain it and show it. But it is absolutely gorgeous. So hats off to you, Eddie, mate. I know I've already given you plenty of kudos on Messenger, but amazing documentary, and everyone's going to be super happy to see that one. Awesome. There's an older one called Welcome to Wherever You Are as well. Aaron Stevenson did, and you can actually watch that on YouTube. But he sent me a bunch of DVDs that we're going to show down there as well. Welcome to Wherever You Are and Green Capital. So they were some guys that were into it early on and built themselves like a rough and tumble interceptor. And went on a bit of a mission to drive it up to Broken Hill and Silverton. Very good. It interviews like Grant Page is in there, and cool. It's interesting.
Oh, very nice. All right, well, I think we're just about rounding things out. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about POX-ECLiPSE? What else should people know? Especially what should they do to be prepared for this?
Prepared, I would be sort of bringing some fairly good quality camping gear. Make sure you bring warm things, like a really good sleeping bag, lots of rugs and cushions and things like that, so you can stay warm at night. Just be prepared to, any burn event or anything, bring the things that you require to sort of keep yourself tidy during the 3 days, and any creature comforts that you require. And make sure you put heaps of effort into your costumes, because I've seen some of them out there and there's people putting in some amazing effort in there, so give that a crack. There's Nerf guns are allowed again, with Australia being a little bit different with the laws and everything to America. We can't have any sort of weaponry that looks too real. Or
that's right. It can't even look real, huh? You can't have like a plastic recreation or anything like that.
No, we just went through a thing in Western Australia where they banned airsoft. So it came in for a little while and got banned.
Oh, wow.
So they're just a bit too realistic, and the police don't like those, so they're gone. And anything, knives, machetes, things like that, we don't want people carrying them around just in case. Like the police won't allow it, and also we don't want any accidents occurring there. So that's where we sort of get a little bit more into the LARP space, where you're going to have sort of weapons and things made of foam and Nerf guns. But I've seen some of the Nerf guns that people are decorating, and they look amazing, and we'll be using those at a bit of a capture the flag event as well.
Oh, cool. I was going to say, because with rules like that where you can't have anything too realistic, that must spoil some pictures, but it sounds like you guys are getting really creative and making them look really, really cool. Yeah, well, I just finished painting up my a rival shotgun thing, and it looks great, and I want to make a back holster and everything for it, so we're walking around with the sawn off sort of handle sticking up on the back and everything like that. So I think there's ways around it. Like I think it'll work well in its own way. Like it's going to be the POX-ECLiPSE, as more information comes out, we'll start to understand that it is quite a bit different to Wasteland Weekend, but then still very much the same, especially in spirit. Like I can't wait to see people in the Thunderdome bouncing up and down, beating the hell out of each other with Juggers weapons and the Juggers fighting. And we've got Berserkers coming up, sort of professional reenactment guys. They're going to be fighting in the Thunderdome as well, so there'll be Clash of Steel on Steel there. I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. Nice. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a really good time. And it also sounds like you guys are building this like 1,000 people are showing up regardless of how many tickets you sell.
That's interesting you say that. Yeah, because it is very much like that. I think we want to see the guys that are sort of building this, they want to see everything that we've seen, down there. Yeah. And we're just lucky enough to be connected to enough people that we can sort of make that happen. We know people that have geodesic domes. We know people that are very experienced in bar service and the bar industry. we know people that do theatrical stuff, so we can build a cabaret. We know bands, and we know people that are doing juggers games already. We know reenactment guys, and we know hot rod guys. So we got all the ingredients.
That's so fun. Yeah, it sounds like there's just going to be a huge party going on.
It's going to be a massive party, yeah. And I think after the first year, when all the vision goes out and people have an understanding what we are doing out there and sort of the scale of it, a lot more people will come to the next one.
Yeah, and I'll say, if you guys are thinking about going, especially if you're local to the western coast of Australia, I saw a few advertisements come out for Wasteland Weekend the first year. That was 2011. I missed it because, I don't know, I just didn't go. But then when those pictures came out, I was filled with so much regret. The good kind of regret, though, where it was like, I am not missing another one of those. And it was 2010. And then I made it for 2011. But I was like, I'm never going to miss another one of these because, the FOMO is real and you guys are going to see the pictures come out of POX-ECLiPSE and go, I should have been there. So buy your tickets now. That's my warning to you guys. You don't want to miss the first of these events because, this is where the event's going to get built. This is where you get to have a chance to be a part of where it's going to go. Does that sound about right? Am I overselling this, or what do you think?
No, that's absolutely correct. It's the same as any first event you go to. Like you when you go to this event, the first year, you will leave knowing that it is something special.
Yeah,
and it will continue to be something special. I already know it. I've been to heaps of these first events, and you always walk away sort of fulfilled and with the understanding that this is going to grow into something really, really special. So yeah, definitely come along.
Awesome.
Come to Q.
All right. Yeah, and one more time, give me all the info, the website. I know you don't like it, but the social media. Where can everyone find all the information they need?
Well, if you put POX-ECLiPSE into Facebook, we're there now, but I'm not sure for how long because I'm going to have to do something about that. Yeah, but we're there. There's also a bunch of unofficial pages. There's some being run by LARP groups on there, and there's an actual unofficial one there that's someone I think over East started up, and that's a lot of good conversations going on there. And you'll probably find more information on those pages than you will on the official one because it's kind of like just sat there as a placeholder so people can add it to their calendars and things like that. So the event is in there. There is an Instagram page that does have some followers, but it's not connected to the Facebook page. So if you search POX-ECLiPSE in Instagram, you'll find some stuff, and I'm sure that's going to get quite beefed up after the event when all the photos drop. And then the website is where you'll find the majority of the information. POX-ECLiPSE.com, and if you have a look around on there, you'll find a subscribe button, and we send out a MailChimp every Friday. That may intensify getting close to the event. We might drop 2 or 3 items during the week. We'll see how we go, but a lot of the information is coming through that MailChimp mail out, and it's good information with a lot of links which will take you to the ticketing site. Tickets are being sold through Quicket, so if you put in Quicket POX-ECLiPSE, you'll find tickets. And there's all sorts of ticket tiers and things that you can purchase on there, like the bounty hunted boomerangs, and there's hotel packages on there as well now. So you can actually stay in queue and get a shuttle bus to site. If you are older or you really, really dislike camping, there's 5 rooms left you can book at a hotel.
They are dwindling fast.
They are, and they will.
Awesome.
But yeah, camping is what I like to do. So bring some good quality camping gear and come along.
Oh, yeah, and that's something I forgot to ask you. What's the temperature you're expecting this year?
I think we're going to get low, the lows will be about 10, 11 type thing. That's what the predictions are at the moment currently. And then highs around 25, 26 during the day. So
all right, and that's 50 degrees on the low, 77 degrees if you're...
you've got your calculator open.
Yep, yeah. So that's pretty good. Those are pretty cool days, but that'll make for some pretty chilly nights, so definitely layer up.
Yeah, and there's, just to add to that, there's a barter town as well, which is set up.
Oh,
where
awesome.
Vendors will be trading, and I've seen some... actually, my partner's mum is starting a store there, a barter town store, and I think they're going to be calling it the Volvolini or Many Mothers, something like that. But she's actually selling she's been really hard at work making all these apocalyptic clothes and robes, nice. and they're selling those and amazing stuff, really, really cool stuff. There's a guy that's John Riddle, good mate of mine. He's going to be making casts, like casting buckles and badges and things like that, and selling those amongst a lot of other junky bits of car parts and things like that, which is really cool. There's someone selling pickles. There's someone selling dog food. There's someone selling modified Nerf guns, and so that's really coming along.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, and that reminds me of one of the coolest things, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of throwing this in at the end. You guys are doing bottle cap currency.
We are. We're really encouraging the bottle cap stuff. So, like, and obviously straight from Wasteland Weekend. So the currency thing, with my experience with events and all that kind of stuff, I'm not sure if you guys do this in the States, but you might go to an event and you'll charge your card, and then they'll give you tickets, like paper tickets, to buy alcohol with at the event. That works really well over here for bar service because the people at the bar aren't dealing with cash and all that kind of stuff. So because we're working under liquor licensing laws in Australia, we are actually having bottle cap currency. So you trade cash for caps and preferably order them beforehand, and you can pick them up at the event. And when you go to the bar or when you go to get food, you actually pay with bottle caps, which have a nominated currency against them. Which will be mixed up with all the other bottle caps that don't have currency attached to them.
Of course. Yeah, so you must be making like a special bottle cap.
We are, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And the thing is, it's made specifically for this year only. So when we have all those bottle caps left over, then they're going to make really great sort of like badges, trinkets, tradables. We'll have to send a bunch over to Wasteland Weekend so people can share them around over there.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
I know how much really you guys love bottle caps.
We do love bottle caps. Yeah, all of our tribes, and a lot of people individually, they'll make their own custom bottle cap to barter and like give away in very Burning Man fashion.
And it looks like there's quite a few people already over here starting to conceptualize and start putting together bottle caps. There is a casino that's coming together over here, and they'll have their bottle cap currency as well.
Nice.
And I saw on the unofficial page there was a few people sharing links where they can get bottle caps from. So I'm looking forward to seeing a few bottle caps being thrown around and traded out there.
Cool.
And I definitely will swap some addresses and things like that makeshift, and I'll send you a big bag of caps over after the event to share around.
Yeah, that would be tons of fun. Oh, and that'd be a great... Yeah, I could kind of spread the word over here by giving out some POX-ECLiPSE bottle caps.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy these caps.
Oh, heck yeah. Nice. Well, that sounds really cool, and I'm glad that you're kind of taking the next step with the bottle caps, because here, we use them, the Last Chance Casino has their own custom for the casino. The rest of them are either just plain bottle caps for fun from everyone's drinking beers, and, of course, the custom-made ones that are more like tradables. But I think it's really cool that you're actually connecting them to a real currency. So it adds that next level of value, that next element of like Fallout value.
Yeah, it's interesting. With the Church of Belligerents stuff that we did, we actually got our own coins made. So we have a big chest of coins, and we did the same thing. So at events, people would just charge a card and trade them for coins, and all night just coins would be traded. But what you find happens is that people want to keep them. They love the coins that are custom. So they just walk home with a pocket full of them, and they're quite happy just keeping them and throwing them around and giving them to their friends and things like that.
Oh,
those stay in circulation, though, those coins. If you come back to a Church of Belligerents event, they always have a monetary value attached to them.
Nice. And they can't be recreated. They can't be... What am I looking for? The word?
No, it'd be very hard to get them recreated. We ordered them in bulk with a dye and everything, so they were...
Oh, got
it. It wouldn't be worth your time to try and recreate them. But
cool.
The caps, they only last for the 1 year. So every year we'll make a new bunch of caps. So this year we've got 10,000 caps.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of caps.
Yeah, it sure is. And do you know what each of their value is going to be yet?
They're just in $5 increments. So if you go to a bar to get a beer, it's $5 for a beer. If you go to the bar to get a spirits, it's $10 for a spirits type thing, which is actually quite cheap comparatively to most bars over here. So we wanted to keep all the prices down. We want to make it affordable for people. So
yeah.
And the benefit of that, I guess, is that you don't actually have to bring all your alcohol and everything up with you. Same with the food vendors and things like that. It's just like if you a small food item, it's $5. A larger food item, it's $10 type thing.
Oh, perfect. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, keeping it simple.
Nice, awesome. Well, that's great, and it's always a great service to provide is to bring some of those necessities so that people they can spend their time enjoying the festival and not necessarily back in camp cooking all the time.
That's right. Yeah, and also the barter, it gives the Bartertown guys opportunity to make some money there as well.
Right.
Whether they're bartering or selling items. So they can cash in their caps. So if the Bartertown guys take in 40 caps for the day, they can just come at the end of the event and cash them in.
Oh, fantastic. Nice. I like it. And I'm really curious to see how it works. It sounds like you've got it figured out. That I'd love to see something like that happen here in the States.
When we get all the footage together, makeshift, I'm going to have to send you some stuff over just so you can
please do.
Get curious, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys put together.
Me neither. I'm excited and scared all at the same time.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kristan, for hanging out with me today and telling me all about POX-ECLiPSE.
No, it's been great talking, mate.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, you've got the website. Check it out in the show notes. I'll link everything down there. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Apocalypse Postcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. Leave a review if you can. It helps me out with the algorithms. And of course, if you feel like helping to support this show, you can always go to patreon.com/theapocalypsepost and throw any amount you want. And of course, you'll get access to every episode a few days early, which is always a nice little bonus. If you liked this episode, send it to your friends. And if you hated it, send it to your enemies on a fireball launched from a truck-mounted trebuchet. I wrote that one down as soon as you said it.
And just from me, a shout out to the community. You guys have been so supportive. Everyone from Wasteland through the Silverton Collective, Cult of Chrome, shout out to you guys. All the guys from the film, the actors, the guys that are making all the documentaries. The community is amazing. You're all awesome. Shout out to you, Co, as well. I love what you do. And catch us out in the wasteland.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Stay alive.
And days and days and days and days.
Hey survivors, Makeshift here to remind you that the Apocalypse Post is brought to you in no small way by our Patreon supporters. Join the ranks for early access and exclusive content with support levels now named for fancy Fallout-ridden factions like the $2 per creation Drifter or the $7 Wastelander. Knowing you've got my back has helped me dedicate more time to this channel, spreading love of the post-apocalypse, and less time on stupid real-world stuff. Sign up right now at patreon.com/theapocalypsepost.